What is going on, Rippa fans and Rippa fam? We are back with episode 5, count 'em 5, of Ctrl+Z, our Rippaverse Artists Podcast. Thank you for hanging out with us once again, myself and the actual talented people here, Marcos, Kanan, and Eigor. They're the ones you're here to listen to and get insight from, not me. I'm in the process of getting my voice back from being sick, so I will be talking less on today's show, which I'm sure you're all thrilled about because you're here to see these gentlemen anyway. So without further ado, I am here with our Rippaverse art director, Kanan White. You know him from a zillion covers and posters and the Sersha interiors and t-shirts and a lot of whole lot of other things. We've got our lead illustrator and one of our art editors, Eigor, as well. You guys see his art posted all of the time on our socials. And we've got Marcos, our concept artist, who is the hand behind the designs for the vast majority of the characters that you see in our books and in our universe. So, gentlemen, thank you for hanging out with me once again. It's great to all be back together in this space and sharing some creative thoughts and chit-chat with y'all. Our prompt for this month was Valentine's Day. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it was limited to, a romantic relationship. Sometimes that could be familial. It could be all sorts of things. So we are going to get into that, but we're also going to discuss what it's like building out the Rippaverse, adding new characters, going to new locations, telling new stories in different genres. It's going to be a good time. So without further ado, we're going to kick things off with Marcos's piece. Yeah, Marcos is first. I love this piece. This piece is so fun. I don't know if you guys saw it yet.
Yeah. It was.
It's pretty
clear too, very clean.
Yeah, it's great. All right, here we go. All cool. Right, Marcos, walk us through this. This is a great piece. This is fun, and I like the little shout out that's in there too.
The little pigeon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was the second idea I had because people on the team know that I started with Michael and Lillian being kind of romantic with each other, but it's true. I walked away from that. Decided to at the last moment to do this one instead. Had the idea to make Bloodruth trying to summon her Valentine, because I figured the type of girl she is might be kind of hard for her to find someone, especially with all the demonic stuff. But it made sense because I was like, don't really have many ideas to go with Valentine regarding characters that didn't involve shipping or nothing like that. And since I saw what Kanan and Eigor were doing, I was like, that's 2 ideas down. And I decided to think about what element of Bloodruth I could maybe include for this or make it work. And it made sense because when she uses her magic, she uses those sigils, red sigils on the ground. Mm-hmm. It made perfect sense to make something like that, but with a heart. And I was like, all right.
That's cool.
Let's make it about summoning. And since there's no text, it was kind of hard to depict that. So I decided to make her read the book and put the really bold letters of the instructions on how to summon your Valentine. And at the end of it, I had to add a pigeon, kind of like a little Easter egg joke with the Rippassance pigeon verse pages. And that's how it ultimately came down. And since we weren't doing colors, it was perfect for this to just leave it as black and white, especially with the contrast of the red in the sigil.
And add some black, white, and blood there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You use red, so.
Yeah, see the red, the little heart at the center. I didn't really know what to do with the symbols though, because they're kind of just random. In case anybody wants, you're just like, what does that even mean? Just like an S. That's just one of the stuff that.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't even know what it is.
Nobody knows. And this time I did a little different thing. Usually I don't do when it comes to black and white. I did like a grayscale of coloring different shades for the skin, the outfit, and the hat. Usually what I do is what I'm doing right now, which is just go straight to black and then blurring it out to shape the clothing and the textures. This time I went with a little bit of a extra step at the start, just adding a little bit of grayscale before doing the shading, and it was actually pretty cool.
I like that.
It adds a nice extra layer of dimension there, and depth to the piece. I dig that.
It was
I think
pretty
that was a
fun
good
actually
choice.
too. 'Cause
And
then I
adding
also
the
added
highlights
the
there on the
Yep.
on the edges, that actually just makes it pop a lot more.
It's better. It's also better, like to start with the darker colors, like when you have your core
Mm.
shadow. Because when you started, I was like, "Oh, this is too dark. I don't remember it being that dark." And then when you
Mm.
go with like the smudge or the blur, I don't know what you use, but like makes a lot more sense, and you have more control because it's like middle tone, and then you go over it again with like the occlusions, which are the parts where the light
Yeah.
doesn't hit, right? Like so, it adds like a ton of volume just because of that. Like there is a middle tone that's in shadow, and then like the occlusions makes everything pop. And then when you add the white, it's like completely done. Like you've sold the entire volume of the cloak and everything. Like looks great.
Yeah.
With just like a couple of, if you follow like a couple of steps, makes the sound easier. Like it's easier for the brain to like,
Yeah.
oh, I have
Exactly.
to do
I got
this,
you.
that, and then this. It's very good. Like very good process. Very organized.
I would have done that with the hair, start with that, but I decided to go with just fully inking it black. I added a little bit of blur at the end, but it's barely noticeable there.
I like
Just at the
her.
bottom of her hair.
Yeah, I like the textures of the. Is that the take? She's outside, so
Yeah, that's grass.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Super
That was
cool.
actually that was actually pretty fun to do the grass because I in Clip Studios you can have brushes that do dedicated stuff like it looks like grass. You could do lightning. You could do specific things. I had one for grass and it just went straight with black and then did a little bit of gray. Added that white. It had to be done with the white because it would have it helped contrast Bloodruth as well as
Right.
the sigil.
mhm.
Otherwise, it looked like very dark. It's hard to tell about what was going on.
Yeah, it's
But
good
yeah.
layering, man, of the the blades of grass or using the brush. That
Yeah.
Clip Studio is good about having brushes that they blend well. That's one of the
Yeah.
things I love
And
about it.
it is something that like some people complain about like digital art. It's like, oh, you're cheating, you're using this or that brush. But if you think about like the way we used to do like comics back in the day, like
Mhm.
when I was drawing traditionally, I used like a lot of different tools to
Tools,
save
yep.
time. Like
Shortcuts,
so,
yeah.
so you would like crump a piece of paper and just
Yep.
like, oh, these are
Mhm.
trees. Like
Mhm.
that's exactly the same thing. Like
Yep.
don't think less about something because there's still like the creative process is still going.
Yeah.
Like Marcos had to think about like the composition and everything. Like
Yeah, you
those
still got to think about the
instruments.
placement of those blades
Exactly,
of
of
grass
everything.
too.
Like and then the tone, like
Yeah.
the values of it, like black, white, gray, like
Yep.
where everything is going. Because if you just go with the brush, it's gonna look completely like fake.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then you have to like when he adds the whites and the grays, like you can see the volume, and you can also see how he's thinking about that, how he's framing the picture and everything. So it's not like the tool that's gonna make like a lot of people like to ask, oh, what
What
brush
you
are you
use?
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And that for sure has a meaning, like, and it makes a difference. Like I've asked what brush, the brush settings for Procreate for Kanan, because it saves a lot of time and
Right.
you get to see like how everything is done. But in the end, it's like about the process. Like it's all about the process. Like
Yeah.
I've used like toothbrushes to make like the actual toothbrushes like with ink to
Yeah.
make like
Oh
splatters
yeah.
and everything. Like we've all done that. And that's a different brush. That's all it is. Like it's a
And
different brush
it is.
on Photoshop.
It's like using a
So
ruler too. You don't have to use
yeah,
a ruler
exactly.
to make a straight line.
Exactly.
It's
So
just gonna look hard.
I
the
like how
Bezier
you did that.
curve or something like that. Like all of
Mhm.
those exist in the real world.
Yeah. I mean, it's no different than using the actual tools. So For you digital artists out there, if anybody ever gives you slack about using your brushes and all that stuff or shortcuts within the program, you're just using the digital versions of if you went, like you said, you went out. Some people use like strings to do perspective. They'll pin the thing
Yeah.
and make perspective lines, or like you said, Marcos, a ruler, or anything. Card, use a card to flick the paint. Well, I got a brush that actually looks like you flicked paint, so it's still the same thing, but at the end of the day,
circle stencils, like to get a perfect,
exactly.
yeah.
But you still have to learn how to use the tools. Like you can have all those brushes. You have I got a lot of brushes on my stuff with both programs, but I can have all those brushes and not know what to do with them. I'm just like, and be using them and then look ugly and jacked up and fake. And so you still have to have, it's the artist basically what it comes down to, your skill set. So both work hand in hand.
I've done grass like this detailed by hand before.
Yeah.
And it takes forever, by the way.
Yeah.
Because the level of detail required to do like regular ground, just dirt, grass, even the texture of trees can sometimes take a lot of time. And if you're like strained on time for a piece, usually these shortcuts help out.
And then how much are you getting out of that? Like, oh, it's gonna look amazing, and then people are gonna look at it like for 2 seconds, and then
those aren't the details that people are looking to. Like, that's not what your eye is going to be drawn to. As
I wish we could draw every leaf and everything.
We could all render everything like Kanan, right?
Yeah. It's all about like being realistic about it. Like, you have to
render every brick, right, Eigor?
Yeah. Like I used to do.
But that's why like it's like a 50-50, man, because like you said, even though this is, because as an artist you learn how to allude to certain things. You can make something look like there's a lot of it without it being a lot. Like, for example, rendering grass, bits and pieces, patches and spots, the negative area fill in the rest. But it's funny because you have people, you said that most of that stuff doesn't even get to the end, but then you got individuals that do look for that stuff. Like, the so and so is not exactly. So it's like you kind of got to draw for the person that doesn't know and doesn't care, and then also the person that's gonna like zoom in and be like, that's not the right building in New York. It should be the New Yorker and not the someone like.
Okay. That's where you show like that you're doing research, right? Like, he has the attention to detail, this building, everything. Like this is the type of stuff that goes into that city, like the city skyline. You can have research
nuances
and be smart about it. Like I said 1,000 times before, I love backgrounds, but you have to just be smart about it. Like you can just like, I'm gonna render everything like as realistic as possible. Like it doesn't look good in the end. Like that doesn't matter.
Every crack.
People tend to also forget that in the background, depending on how far away it is, the less detail there is.
Yeah.
People just think it always has to be detailed like the same, but it's not realistic.
No, that's properly utilizing the space.
Yeah. And it's also like a framing device, right? Like the grass in your piece is a framing device. It's not about the grass. It could be anything in there. It could be a shadow, like a cast shadow. It's all about framing like the actual story. Like that's what you're doing. Like you're framing that piece of you're guiding the eye of the reader to that part of the piece. Like that's all it is about.
Good
Absolutely.
Stuff,
great piece, Marcos. Great piece.
Thank you.
Awesome piece. Very good.
That's a fun piece. I enjoyed the heck out of that. All right. Our illustrious lead illustrator is next. The man who is currently the reigning champion.
Yeah.
Get the belt.
You gotta get you that belt. You hang it in the background.
Yeah, just hanging there. So to add some context to my piece, like this is Sanford Willard. That's how you say his
Williard.
Second name, right? The surname, and Williard. His wife, Miss Willard. Willard. Yeah,
Williard?
Sorry. Yeah, Willard. That's something like that. I thought it was fitting because it's Valentine's Day, and he's kind of like the feel to what happens between ISON 2 and 3 at the end of ISON 2. For those who have read, he has been kidnapped, and then Isom and Bloodroof go like fight a bunch of devlings to help him. So I thought it was like a good idea to have those two, because it's kind of the catalyst for part of the story in ISON 3 and was in ISON 2. And yeah, so the cool thing is that I started with you just saw that I flipped the image because I started with him like facing forward. You see his chest, and then I was like, no, but he has that mark on the back, so I want him showing his back. So I had the mannequin ready, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna use this. I'm not gonna throw it away. I'm just gonna use it for his wife. Then I adapted like to the female form and made a new one for him. Nice. So that we have like the back showing, so that I can show the carvings and everything that we still don't know what it is. We're gonna find out in ISON 3 maybe. And if you all like know, the campaign's live, so yeah, get it. And then yeah, I got to draw a few monsters. I hadn't had the chance of drawing like a lot of devlings, so that was a cool opportunity to do that. Even though it's Valentine, I found the theme to be boring at first, and I was like, yeah, how can I make this fun for me? And then I was like, yeah, all right, this makes this funnier for me. Get to draw a little bit of blood and everything. So most of the drawing is going to be about proportions, because I messed up the proportions on the face, on both faces. I thought they were kind of lacking. And then the anatomy, I was trying to make sure that I got everything I needed, like the deltoid part and triceps. Yeah. So everything had to be better because he was shirtless. And that's a nice opportunity to study anatomy, to learn a different angle, different pose. So you take your job and you make it into a study as well. That's the best way to learn, in my opinion. It's good. Like you learn as you do it.
Yeah, trial and error.
Yeah, I was never like the best student in the world, but I was a good worker. So I got work, and I used that to study as well.
As it is, learn on the fly, man.
Yeah, like comics are like second only to like maybe animation in terms of like the amount of drawings that to make and how you can learn. So yeah,
I love the back muscles, man. Like that's always a challenge for a lot of people.
Tricky part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You did a good job, especially showing the deltoid with
Thanks.
Going to the trap. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
the connecting bit there is kind of tricky.
Sam got some muscles, okay, bro.
He works on a farm, right? Or works on a ranch. So yeah, you got to believe that he's got some build to him, right? And I think that if he had been drawn too skinny or too lacking in musculature, it wouldn't feel right in terms of just what we know about the character.
Yeah.
So I think, Eigor, you did a really great job about showing him, like, he's not a superhero or anything, right? He's not an Except. He's not going to be quite as shredded as, say, Solari, right? Or Avery.
Right.
But he's still, like, he's still built.
He's fit, man. Yeah, he's strong. Like you said, he's on the farm, so.
Yeah, maybe I went like... Yeah, it's not like Saint One for sure. But I feel like Cliff did a great job, like with the anatomy, because he separates the characters very well. Like you can see the difference between Saint One, like Ison, Saintford, everyone. I could have used like a little less of like muscle definition, because usually people that work don't get a lot of like, they get muscle tone, but not like always defined. But then again, it's cool like to show a little bit of that in the actual piece. It adds volume, it helps a lot. So yeah, this is mainly about like texture, adding like fur and everything. Like I was mentioning on Marco's piece, you're getting like framing devices. You're using what you have as framing devices. So the devlings are helping like pull weight to the bottom of the piece, and then like the upper part has less elements, so you kind of read as a diagonal. Also, the movement helps create that. So it's
Yeah.
all about like the fluff of all of it, like using it as like a framing device.
I hope the Devlin faces weren't that hard, because I know that when I designed
They're
them, they
kind
were a
of
little bit
tricky. Yeah,
confusing. Yeah, because there's
yeah,
like layers to their teeth and like the
yeah.
cheeks.
Yeah, I tried to kind of nail it, but
You did a
yeah,
good job. Just say that I hope it
thanks.
wasn't really annoying, because I know some people struggle drawing those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's it. That's my business.
It
I
reminds
think
me of sorry, I was gonna say the piece reminds me of that what's that famous painting of God and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're about to touch the fingers.
Yep. I think it was called like the
Who did
yeah,
it? Was it
it's God and Adam, right?
yeah. So
Adam? Yes,
I can't
yes.
remember the actual name of it though.
Michelangelo,
Yeah.
Michelangelo.
Yeah,
Michelangelo.
yeah,
That's
he was
awesome.
the painter, but yeah, I can't remember the name of the piece for the life of me right now. But yeah, overall, great piece, brother. I
Thank
think
you.
I could tell the most fun part of it was probably the devilings for you, because you like drawing them. You like drawing the monsters. He's like, what can I do
Oh,
to
it's fun.
spice
Yeah.
up this Valentine's Day nonsense that I had no interest in? I'll throw
Just
in monsters.
as a side note, like the reason it makes like for more fun for me is because there is less structure to it. So like with monsters, big characters and everything, you don't have to be as realistic about anatomy,
Yeah.
because you get some leeway.
Yeah, you
That
get to play
makes it
around a bit
fun.
more.
Yeah. So I was listening to Brad Booth, which like is an artist that both me and Andrew love, and he was talking about like one of the things that makes comics fun for him is that he doesn't like go for the hyper realistic stuff, and he feels like that's something that doesn't make it fun for him. It doesn't make it fun for me either, but I haven't found like the middle ground for human characters. But I
Right.
feel like I have found that for monsters. Like I can have more fun with monsters, and I still find myself attached to too much realism and proportions. Like I haven't found the way to have a lot of fun with the human figure and get something across, like the message across. So I haven't found that middle ground yet in my work, but I have for monsters. So that's where I have the most fun. And
That
I
makes
feel like
sense.
that's what most artists have to deal with, like the struggle between like realism and the style that you want to have.
I say with monsters, man,
Is
they
it
already kind of break the rules because they don't follow
Yeah.
the standard.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
you have some things that, of course, werewolves and vampires that kind of reflect, your regular human anatomy. But yeah, for the most part, there's no rules to what you can create. And so yeah, I can see that. We signed with the
That's
monsters,
awesome.
man.
Yeah.
You could say they're like the window for your creativity,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
you're supposed to mix what you know with something that doesn't exist.
Yep.
Create
Yeah.
your own stuff. That's
Yeah,
why we love to
exactly.
draw monsters here.
Absolutely. Yeah, y'all love drawing all the creepy stuff. That seems to be a recurring theme amongst the artists here on full-time staff. All right, Kanan, you're up.
Right.
I love this piece. I think this piece is adorable.
So basically, it was, we always think Valentine's Day as far as relationships and, between like, your significant other. But I wanted to kind of show, just something a little different, a little softer moment again with Altona. She's doing her daughter's hair. And so being a girl dad, this brings back super memories for me. I had 3 of them. Have 3 of them. I'm a son dad too, but when it was just, me and my oldest, trying to do the hair and the different grade hair, and it was thick, and you had to like try to gather into the ponytail. And I retired early. I think I quit after my first child turned 5. No, but you still did, because a lot of it was because my daughter was like, "Daddy, that doesn't look right." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm trying." So, but like I said, I wanted to kind of show, let's say Altona, she's reading, looking down at the Valentine's card that Avery, if you look at it, says from your Uncle Avery. So it's a Valentine's card to his daughter, or her daughter, his niece. And, she's of course delighted, but at the same time, those of, who know and have kids and daughters where you got to do their hair, it's like, all right, hold the hair scrunchie or the hair barrette, wait for mom to ask for it. And so, like I said, watching my wife, how she would do our daughter's hair and stuff, gather all that hair, because they had a lot of hair, gather it all up. And so I wanted to make sure, even down to like, I know we were talking about unrealistic things. I'm like the opposite. I love drawing the human figure, and I love like the people that I've admired through the years, people like Norman Rockwell, how they were like very good at taking realism, but then adding an illustrator spin and twist to it, but still capturing those elements. Like, man, like you can really see and feel the emotion of what's going on. But at the same time, it's not exactly realistic. But then again, it has that element of like, yeah, that could be like, somebody's life. That's kind of how it is, so I always want to kind of put people, when they see pieces like this, I always say it shouldn't move without moving. Like I wanted to feel like, yeah, you can see her gathering up, like if you were actually there and you saw her doing, this is what it would feel like, or this is what it would look like. And so, just like it can be a school night, weekend, or whatever, but you gotta do, you gotta do your daughter's hair. This is just how it is. And so, but yeah, that's the whole love between mom and daughter, and then uncle, family member, extended family member, whatever. That's a Valentine's Day connection as well. So yeah, I mean, it was fun to do. Like I said, I kind of had a couple ideas I wanted to go with, but this was the one that I felt like, I was like, yeah, let's it's, and being the person of color, man, it's like, it is, as they're getting the hair done, and it's thick, and like it's real, so
Yeah.
it's like, just different processes.
Yeah.
My wife used to use hair lotions for the kids, and and make sure, because she was like, your hair is not gonna look crazy just because it's thick. It can, it can look good, and it should be healthy. And so, yeah, said, the older I get, the more sentimental I guess. No, no, but oh, and I don't know if you guys noticed on the wall, there's a military photo, because we know, that they're, military.
NDA.
There's
Yeah,
military
there's something
connection.
going on.
Is there something?
Super
So,
cool.
Don't
Super
make me
cool. Like
tap
the
the
details.
sign.
Yeah.
but yeah, that's it, man. So yeah,
It's such a heartwarming piece to look at.
Yeah.
Like,
you.
because actually my favorite part of my favorite part of ISOM 1 was actually the scene with Avery and
Yeah.
Vassie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
By far. I
Yeah.
absolutely adored that interaction. I thought it was super heartwarming. I thought Eric was also very cleverly layering in some things that it might be a while before those come to fruition.
Yes.
But I absolutely loved that interaction. And so I always like seeing more of Altona and more of Vassie,
Yep.
because I think they're fantastic characters. And I love the idea of, Avery being that good uncle who
Yep.
knows that, his niece lost her father, his sister
Yeah.
lost her husband. And so he steps in there in place. So instead of, the father giving the daughter,
Yep.
a Valentine's Day card, the uncle did. And
Yeah.
that's super sweet and heartwarming. I
Yeah.
really love that.
I love the details. Like, but
Thank you.
when I say the details, like it's about the story. Like she was holding the hairbands Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's super cool detail. Like
Mhm.
the casual like setting of it all, like
Yeah.
where Altona has like the bra strap,
Well,
Yeah.
she's
like
also got the
the
pin
clothing,
in her
yeah,
mouth.
Yeah. The
yeah,
knockers. Yep.
exactly.
The
Yeah,
air,
that's
the air knocker.
super cool.
But
Like
she
all
actually you would
those
miss
details.
that unless you're looking at it blown up,
Yeah,
missing
Yeah.
the in the mouth. Like
yeah,
that's a great extra little detail.
and
Not
it's
to mention the
like
hair.
yeah, yeah.
What'd you say, Marco?
The
Oh, sorry. Not to mention the hair. How
Mm.
you detailed Altona's hair.
Oh, thank
It
you.
looks like it's popping out.
Yeah.
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 Looks so
and
good.
talking about like framing devices, it helps frame the faces and
Mm.
everything because there's less elements in the face, and then the black around it like makes you read everything so well. But Kanan's like is the second piece that like has like a casual moment where like Kanan is showing like that he is able to convey a lot of different emotions in his art, which is very cool to see in a superhero artist, because usually we see like the big fights and everything,
Yep. Yep.
and then
Right,
you
that's
get
what
to see
everybody
like
focuses on.
yeah,
The action, yeah.
yeah, but like he mentioned the last time, if you can get like a couple of pages in your portfolio that show like casual conversation
Yes.
in a dynamic but like closely realistic way, like you can relate to that,
Yeah.
like your gold for
Those
any
are
editor.
those really human moments.
Yeah,
I mean that's what like I said, people talking in the diner or at the cafe or whatever,
Yeah.
editors and stuff really look for that again. So like Igor stressed, and I'll stress it again. Make sure your portfolio has the grandiose stuff, fights and all that
Yeah.
stuff, because you want to tailor make your artwork and it's to the artists, to the company you're trying to work for, whether it be us, whether it be the big two, whatever. But at the same time, we, as I'm sure as they do as well, look for those moments where, just people sitting on the bus or driving in a car or walking up the street, placing them in certain settings in the park. Everybody can't be diving off of a building or dodging explosions. Like, so, because you're gonna draw a vast array of that type of stuff.
A comic book isn't all just action front to back, or at least
Exactly.
More than 9 times out of 10, it is not and shouldn't be, right? You need
Yeah.
that you need to have some pacing there, and that
Yeah,
includes
you
the
need to
art. So,
breathe.
yeah,
tell a
you
story.
need to give people a second to be like, okay, I
Yeah,
can,
and it
I
gives
can
you-
relax
it
a little bit, experience
it
those
gives
human
your-
moments.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like as a chef, when I'm not a chef, but I know a couple of things as far as like when you like make steaks and stuff. They say you want the meat to rest after you cook it. Most people
Yeah.
go right to like eating it, right, dive right into it after they've. But I don't know, if you guys notice, sometimes meals taste better the next day because all the ingredients is settled.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
set
they've
in
had a
place.
chance to kind of set
Yeah.
together.
So you
Yeah.
go in, it's like, man, this chili tastes better than it did the day it was, well, that's how it's supposed to. So yeah, like you said, like those little moments, your eye needs to be able to rest in the comic book. If everything's just one massive battle from start to finish with no rest, you're just like, whoa, like so much happened. And one more thing I wanted to point to as far as like storytelling, getting the card from her uncle, but at the same time he signed it with an I because she's also into the heroes, and so he's
Yeah.
alluding to the fact that yes,
Yeah.
I'm also ISOM, like
Yeah.
so, she's like, if you read the first one, she was so excited. I heard you had powers. And,
Yeah.
he's like, whatever. But yeah, so,
Those moments, like they really stick with us, like right, like yeah. For me, it was like Miss Willett going after like Avery and
Yes.
asking for his help, like that.
Yeah.
That kind of stuck with me. Like, yeah, that's a wife looking
She
for
missed her husband.
for
Yeah.
her husband.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a big part of like ISOM 1, like his relationship with his niece is
Yep.
it's very important to him as a character.
Yep.
So yeah, those are very cool. Like you're mentioning like being able to draw the like the casual moments. I have a really good friend of mine who is an artist for another company for DC mostly, Gabriel Piccolo, and he made his career out of like drawing the casual moments.
That's
So
awesome.
like he has more than 1 million followers, and his entire thing is like, yeah, I'm gonna draw superheroes in a casual setting, and gonna make them relatable. So everyone has to be relatable. That's how you tell a story. If you tell a story and you don't have like any relatable characters, you're not gonna engage with your audience. Yeah, so you need to pay attention to those things as an artist. Like you need to be able to draw those, because if you're only focusing on like the big splash,
Oh, we lost him.
That's flash.
Right as he says
Brazil.
splash, he actually splashed.
Oh, we getting him back now?
There he got caught in the Matrix.
My internet, man, my internet. Yeah, that's it. I don't know what I said, but yeah, you need to balance things. Just balance things.
Yeah, I'll pose the question to y'all in the chat. Let us know. Do you guys, if you are parents, do you give Valentine's cards or gifts to your kids? If you have a niece or a nephew or whatever, do you guys give them to them? Let us know. Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. I tend to be just enough of a sap to find that kind of a thing pretty heartwarming and adorable. So yeah, awesome pieces, gentlemen. Guys, you are about to be able to vote for which piece you liked the best. Will Eigor walk away once again with the belt?
The 5-time. No.
The five-time. you know.
The most electrifying artist.
Yeah. Suck it, duck it, quack, quack. You gotta love it.
Like I said, I blame Jordan last time. she made like the options into cool names, and then I can't remember mine for the life of me. But it was
Yours
really
was
funny.
something with hair.
Yeah, it was something with hair.
Of course, it was something with hair.
Everyone's very creative at the Rippaverse. But yeah, that's the only reason I won. Like I feel like Marcus had the strongest piece.
But you won, Eigor. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
wasn't it like
it's rigged?
Hair phobia or something like that?
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
it
it.
was.
Like Brazilian Fabio or something like
Brazilian Fabio. That's great. That's great. Great pieces. Chat. Vote. Who's going to walk away with the belt this time? Is Eigor going to retain, or will Marcos or Kanan finally knock him off his throne? Finally. Yeah, we'll see. We shall see. Let us know in the chat, guys, and let us know what you liked best about each of the pieces. All right, let's move on to a bit of a discussion piece here. So, for those who are not aware, at the beginning of this year, we had our Rippaverse showcase, our first one, which revealed a lot of books, though not all, of the things that were coming this calendar year at the Rippaverse. A lot of these were unannounced titles involving new characters that y'all had maybe seen but didn't already have their own either one shot or ongoing, etc. And doing this allows us to do some really cool things. But this is the beauty of having an expanding universe. We get to play around with so many different character archetypes and go to so many different places, because you don't necessarily have to have every single character interact with each other, but it's cool to just know they exist in the same space. They don't have to be in the same sphere necessarily. Like Zaylin probably isn't going to be interacting with Avery anytime soon. There's not that much reason for that. However, the fact that they, exist in the same universe is incredibly cool. And we get to do a lot of that now that we're starting to really settle into this building phase at the Rippaverse, right? And we're starting to see more and more characters get introduced. Rippassance 3, which is still available for pre-order, as the introduction of Dirty Deeds as the short story for that. And that is written by our own Caro Brown. Shout out to Caro, and illustrated by Evan Scale. It's an absolute blast, and it's completely different from everything else that we have so far at the Rippaverse. And that just goes back to being able to do all these different things. And so I want to pose a question to you guys. Like, what are you looking forward to most about us building out the universe and adding new characters, adding new genres, adding new types of stories that we're doing, with completely different tones, things like that. What about that excites you? Does it excite you? Is there anything, without NDAing, um, anything in particular that you're looking forward, maybe not having to go into specifics, looking forward to potentially drawing, whether it's, for a promotional piece or whether it's for interiors, whatever that may be? Are you guys hyped for like seeing this continued growth of new characters getting added and growing out an expanding universe? We'll start with you, Kanan.
Man, dude, yeah. Most everything that I'm excited about is NDA. So, but I mean, just the product that we have out now. Somebody posted on X, and it just kind of takes you back when you see it all together. They posted all the covers that are out so far from the Rippaverse, and it blew my mind. I was just like, you knew it because we worked on a lot of the stuff, but to see it all together,
Yeah.
starting in like just 3 years out, man, and we actually have a library,
Yeah.
of not just alternate covers, but stories, like, and they're still expanding. And I watched the video that Eric did, just talking about some of the business, as he says. It goes on with the Rippaverse, man, and just how his mindset and frame of thinking on how to expand organically, pretty much is what he was sharing, as opposed to trying to force the issue, getting investors and all that stuff that people could do. But I was looking to like a person's Instagram who builds their Instagram or following naturally rather than buying sponsors,
Yeah.
because those people ride with you forever.
Yeah.
Because like it may not be a huge number, but that number that you built, like those people will always tune in to whatever you post. And so seeing all the stuff that we've done like so far with with the Rippaverse, man, it was humbling. It was like, man, like all of our artwork, from concepts from Marcos to the promotions from Eigor, to the covers that I've done, like to see all of our stuff together, man, it was just like, geez, like this is like really happening. And it's not even like the surface of the concepts and the stories and the ideas, that, and I can say, man, and confidently, I'm sure all of us at some point are going to have a story, a comic, or a book within the Rippaverse that we not only create but illustrate. So it's like I said, we're biding our time and and doing what we need to do, within the company. But man, the
I
creative
can't draw. I ain't drawing anything.
Yeah, we're
I
gonna
mean,
get
you can draw
Kanan
better than
on
you
it.
think. I'm just gonna say that real quick.
I have proof. I have proof.
You write it.
And like
Carol draws
Carol,
it.
Carol says she couldn't draw. Come on now.
I'll write something and Caro can draw it. She's a better drawer
Yes,
than
sir.
I am.
But there's the as far as for me, the excitement of an expanding universe. Like, I don't know. I've said it before, man. I don't think you guys understand how long I've been looking for something like the Rippaverse. Yeah, I've been doing this. I'm 47, so I've started in my 20s. Pursuing comics like for real, for real. Worked some of the no name companies, that people know, are competitors in a way.
Mhm.
Did some stuff for them. Have done some stuff for them. Still probably do like here or there, whatever. But being able to settle down in a place like this, world build and character build and story develop, like, and then learn, like I'm learning so much from all of y'all, in various different ways. One, the accountability, two, the creativity, three, the focus, four, the family vibe, I'm sure there's a 5 and a 6 in there somewhere, but there's so much that is on the horizon. Like, you guys, y'all have no idea, like, the stuff that's coming out. Like, oh my gosh. Like, and it's all the stuff that's coming out, man, is like pro level type stuff. It's like it could easily rival anything that's out there on the market now. And always, that's one thing, is always as an artist, I always say, okay, if I took my cover and put it next to like, Captain America, would you buy it? Whatever. And
Hmm.
so that's always my mindset going into like creating something like something to really like blow people away. And we're starting to get a culture within the Rippaverse culture in regards to quality, where everybody understands like we're not just drawing pinups,
Hmm.
just to do a gig or whatever. Like it's like you're taking ownership of what's happening with the Rippaverse because you're building a universe, man, and like and as it expands, like there's so many characters that are just waiting to be released. Some that have already been plotted, some that aren't even been plotted. I'm talking in the future, So for me, I love it, man. I love seeing the explosion of new characters, a new universe to play with, and that's something I've always been drawn to. Like I'll say the obscure characters, but I think that's one of the reasons why I like, when you had like Astro City back in the day.
Hmm.
There were parodies of like Superman and Batman and stuff like that, but it was obscure enough to like I've always been drawn to that kind of like vibe, like The Watchmen.
Hmm.
I was like, man, like I love this kind of like classic universe, noir with some detective stuff, with some, your classic superhero golden age kind of like vibe, and I feel like, man, that's what we're bringing here to Riververse, that a new kind of golden age of like heroes, man, that will become household names, and people are starting to know who Yaira is, and Isom, and Bloodruth, and Alpha Core, and the Horsemen, so, and those are just some of the names that are on the horizon. So get ready. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, you guys are in for an amazing ride, and um, yeah, stay with us because it's about to get nice.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Igor, what about you? Same question.
I was thinking about like what Kanan was talking about. Like I saw the same post, so about the covers and everything, and I was like, yeah, man, this feels like the end of the year already, and we're like in the middle of February, but
Exactly.
about the end of February, and we've released so much already. Like there's so many books. I was thinking back to ISON 1 while I was drawing my piece, and ISON 2. I was like, that feels like ages ago, and it feels like yesterday at the same time. Like there's so many books out, and so many like in the way. Like now that I'm working as an editor, there's so many different stories that we're about to tell, and people like Eric keeps talking about like we're sure we're gonna have a story for you, but that's basically what's happening here. Like
Mhm.
we're dabbling in styles and genres that comics have failed to actually publish for a long time. Like we might get an indie title or another in the horror genre, but something as massive as Bloodworth, like we haven't had that. Like if you compare it to how manga is and how other like even like the Korean market and everything, like those are like we don't have that in the West, uh, and it's so good to have that. Not only because I'm a fan myself, but to see like the expansion of what is possible in the market and what is possible regarding like different kinds of I won't say different kinds of markets, but the way that we approach it, like we have the pre-sale campaign, and then you have like the store that has a bunch of titles in it, and people can go and buy or whatever they like. And then when you read the story, there's like this interconnectivity that it was always something that Eric was talking about. Like, oh, you see this character and that character, and if you want to know more, you're going after their own book, their own title. It feels like a world that's inhabited by different people with different powers and different stories, and at some point, it's cool that they cross paths, but they don't like solve each other's stories. Like they don't like they're not like, it's not like Solaris is going around and like fixing everyone's problems, or Yaira is going around and making problems for everyone, or like
Well, she does kind of do that sometimes.
but you know, like there is like, it's like it's the universe is alive. And I'm not even the fan of like I'm more of like the street level story guy. I'm not like reading intergalactic stuff. Sci-fi is not really my thing. And I'm super excited for Dirty Deeds, not only because it's Kara's story, but because it's not really like about superheroes. It's about a different type of like character. So we're getting all flavors of like stories, really, but not only stories, but a different format. Like I was talking about, you're getting 40 pages out, and then 50 pages out, and then like it's not a floppy, but it's not like, oh, it's 100-page story.
Yeah.
Or then you have Eric just dropping a kaiju in the middle of our release schedule with a 140 plus page book. Like, okay, fine. What the hell? Why not?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my point. Like, as a company, why not? Like,
Yeah.
why not do that? Like, we can do. We don't have to play by any rules.
Nope.
Like, we don't have to. Oh, you're set on 24 pages a month. Okay, we can do that. Oh, you're gonna release an anthology? Maybe. Well, we don't have any rules. Like, there's nothing that's holding us back from doing something different. Like, we're gonna release a book every 6 months or a book every year. Yeah, we might do that. Why not? If you even in spite of you, like, we might do that. Dare us.
Yeah.
You can't put out a book a month. Watch me.
Watch me. Like,
We're gonna drop one tomorrow, huh?
Don't believe me, just watch.
You know what? Like, let's just do that. Like, and we're gonna have success doing that.
Yeah.
Because there is room in the market for that type of stuff. Like,
Absolutely.
a lot of people haven't done what we're doing in regards to a lot of different, and that's all credit to Eric, because he thinks about this not only as his passion, but as a business that he wants to keep making successful. And people are gonna think this is sappy, but it's a lot because of us. Like, because he wants to take care of us.
Yeah.
Like, that's the conversation that he had with me as an editor, like when I was going to become an editor, without spoiling a lot. But he said, like, I want you to grow in the company, and I want to see a place that I think you're gonna be useful, and you're gonna be like happy to work with. And I was like, yeah, let me give it a try. And because he wants to take care of us, that's basically it. Because he trusts us and he wants us to do better. That there is no like other reason for he wants like the business to be successful. But that's basically it. Like, he wants to try different things. He wants to be a part of comic book history. He already is. That's for sure. But there is no reason to stop now. Like, we can do a lot more, and we're gonna do a lot more. People just have to wait, like,
and not even wait that long. Honestly, at this point, like,
it's just February.
No, when I keep posting, we have more characters and stories and stuff coming at you at like hypersonic speeds than you can shake a stick at. That's not me just being funny. Like, we have a lot coming down the pipeline. Again, stuff we announced so much during the Rippaveal. We still have a lot more.
Not even scratching the surface.
Like, haven't even scratched the surface.
When I was brought in as an editor, I was like, okay, 1 channel, 2 channels on Slack, and then and then it's like,
all of a sudden you're getting added to all these things. You're like, oh wow, so these are all projects too.
There's so many scripts. Like,
that's the beauty of, man. Like, it's almost like that's. Oh no, it's not my turn. But I just real quick. That's the beauty of, man, of just like this company. Like, I don't know what it is, man. He's our boss, but I'm just be real. I don't know what it is about that dude, Eric, man. Like, that dude, he's got this amazing foresight to see certain things, before and as they progress. And it's almost like perfect timing, bringing Eigor to the position of an editor. And then all of a sudden, it's just like these influx of like, artists that came
Mhm.
in. Not only, because of where he's from, they relate to, to him and communicate with him, and there's no like, issue, as opposed to, if I came and said something, it could, necessarily be, lost in, the communication. But he's kind of been like that buffer, and like, man, like nobody knew all these people were going to like start to become part of the creative process, but they did. And it
Yeah.
was like the upgrade was perfect timing, for Igor to be where he is now. And I mean, that's just like, no, like for real, man. Like that. That's just real talk. Like, I mean, myself being brought into it was like, we didn't know it was going to be that vital. We knew there was, there was something that needed to be fixed and changed, but it was going to be like that. It's like just the timing, like each individual and each story and the books, how they drop, and the Saskas, and like everybody that's Chuck Dixon, like everybody that's connected, man. Like that's just how we flow, man. It's almost like it's a forward thinking company, like
Mhm.
all across the board. Yeah, I dropped something in his text Derek just today, man. I know I'm gonna take your time, my fault, Igor, but that's thought, but but
I
no,
said
just
too much already.
real quick, man. Like he just, I just give him his flowers, man. His kudos, man. I was like, dude, like I watched the video he dropped. And I was just like, man, to know the changing of the market enough to even start Rippassance. Like
Mhm.
most people don't think about, like you said, Igor, the business side of it. It's just people just the gig. Well, we're gigging, I'm gigging. Everybody's it's like a house of giggers, and just hey, I got a job today. Me too. I got a job today. Cool. And then that job ends, and you're like, okay, go to the next gig. But when you're building a company, legacy, longevity, that's a
Mhm.
whole different thing. Like people don't understand. Like Rippaverse isn't like a fly by night. And I've said it before. Now you're talking about like we're a permanent fixture. Like we're in there, you know, with the images and
When people hear like the business word, like just the word, they think about the coldest like interpretation of it
yeah,
that they can think of. But for us, it's definitely not that. Like I know this is like corporate talking or something like that, but when people talk like good or bad about the Rippaverse, we say we listen because it's our project too.
yeah,
Like I'm not gonna write a story or draw a story ever, and it's still gonna be about like a project that's mine as well.
yeah,
Like even if I'm not the artist on something, it's my project too,
absolutely.
because it's our company. Like
Yeah,
in
Yeah.
the end, it's our company. Like
And you have
we're
a hand
as
in all these
invested as
projects now
ever.
as an art editor.
absolutely.
Yeah, but even if I wasn't, like even for like for, let's say someone that's not involved in the creative process, is still their company, because that's how Eric makes us feel, right? And not only makes us feel, but like comics are our passion too.
Yeah,
In the end, that's what we did, even if we weren't doing it for the Rippaverse. And to be
yeah,
involved in the Rippaverse, like the way that we work inside, like where we can talk to each other
yeah.
and like make fun of each other and everything that goes on behind the scenes. But it's just fun, right?
It
Like
is.
so it's not it's still work, but like it's work that we want to be proud of.
Yeah,
So it's not about like the oh, we're gonna make a mistake, we're gonna make like something that is a hit or not. We haven't had flops yet, but even if we do,
yeah,
like it's gonna be a learning experience for us,
yep,
because it's not just a gig. It's just like part of our lives
Mhm.
and something that we want to be proud of.
yep,
So if we're not meeting the requirements that we ourselves have for us, because Eric is like a very chill boss compared
yeah.
to what other bosses we could have.
After,
He still demands a lot, but I
yeah.
think that we demand more of ourselves than he does.
Yes,
Mm.
Like yeah, compared to what we could have. Like that's reason for improvement alone. Like
Mm.
we can see the improvement that Marcus had, that I had, that
yeah,
the Kanan had. like even Andrew, like what inside his job, like we still can see, because it's not art, it's exactly art related, but we can still feel that everyone wants to improve, right? Like it's not something to be taken lightly, because it's not a gig for us. That's the main thing.
100%.
We will talk
Very
too
well
much.
said.
I want to hear Marcus.
You're good, brother. Very, very well said. Very well said. Marcos, amigo, same question.
Eric is the creator of fun, by the way, so it makes sense.
He invented fun.
Fun,
He invented comics.
fun.
He invented
Sales.
campaigns. Yep. No, but it's funny. Kanan, you mentioned how the names of our characters so far in the Rippaverse, with Bloodruth, Yaira, Isam, and how one day they'll be like basically recognizable everywhere. When you were saying the names out loud right now, I could already feel that because they're already like big. If you hear it through the fans, since the first ISA #1, the first campaign, even Yaira was already big in itself.
Yeah.
And I don't know, as the concept artist from the start, because I'm behind basically everything in regards of like the concept, like every single book. I've probably at least seen them, the characters involved in every book, and there's something different being the one who originally drew the characters, and then seeing everything piled up together, how far we've gone, and how it's continuing to build.
Yeah.
It's just something special about that, And like Andrew, like everybody said already, it's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm probably the person that has the most qualified to say that, because I've been the amount of characters that we've got.
Yeah, Marcos with a super gag order.
All right, he's done concepts for characters that haven't been announced yet.
Dude, I gotta do something someday. I gotta make a compilation of every single character. Obviously, NDA. Maybe in the future, some release.
Yeah, not because we need to release most concept art books.
yeah, probably like a super concept art book. That we need to do like a super concept art book of like literally everything. Cause I don't think it'll probably fit into like 100 pages even. Cause
imagine binding that like into a book.
Eventually we'll have
and having like commentary by both Marcos and the writers that were helping create those characters, man.
I mean, it's like the Marvel Bible. I mean,
we probably just gave Eric an idea.
Lord of the Rings.
It almost ends up feeling like a proud father. Well, uncle in my case, because Eric is the actual father of every character. Well, not every, but most of the characters we create. But yeah, it's like just from the perspective of the concept artist. It's like, I don't know, indescribable. And it makes me so happy to see how much we're growing. And
I always think about Marcos when Yaira had the live action that we had.
Oh yes.
And you remember I texted him. I was like, "Dude, that's you, bro. Like, it's a literal suit. Like, it's like it's not like this art.
Everything was
somebody's wearing it.
Yeah.
And it's not some fan cosplay either. Like that was like a professional.
We made
even the cosplays.
Cosplays as well. I think it's a huge deal, but
because I got stoked when I see fan art and the cosplays and everything.
That shows like
must
fan
go
investment,
right?
Yeah.
If I get excited when I see someone like cosplaying and stuff like that, like Marcos actually created that. And it's true, his
dude. Yeah,
and the uniforms and everything.
People don't know this, but when specifically for Yaira, when Eric and I created her, she was literally just a blonde wearing workout clothing. The one you see in Isam, she's got the white top and the black like pants. That's all she was. He gave me the reins on literally making up her outfit, and there were like 3 original ideas, totally different. One was more like cybernetic. Then you had the one that she got, one more similar, because it didn't start off the way it is right now. It had a lot of more blue on it, and more skin covered. And then there was another one that was ultimately the one that I chose to give Stefania as her Alpha Core suit. That was originally supposed to be. That was one of the main 3 designs that I made for Yara. Obviously with different colors, because it wasn't green and black. But yeah, it was part of the original Yara designs, and all 3 of them still exist, which is why I used one for Stefania. The other one we'll see if I ever use for anything else. But the fact that one of the main 3 ideas got immediately like accepted by Eric, he was so stoked for it. And then the fact that it ended up being one of the fan favorite characters because of her outfit as well, that's just, I can't really speak on that. It's so exciting. It's like, yeah, and that's always gonna happen because we keep making new characters and we keep just knocking it out of the park, and the fans always like it. Even if they don't, it's always gonna be exciting for me just because we get to see the characters come to fruition. Just beyond the concept itself. And
Absolutely.
this was my first official job. The fact that this is happening is like I'm over here dying just from. It's so good, it's amazing. I will always thank Eric for this, and everyone in the team, because like Igor said, we're like a family here.
Yep.
Yes, we are. It's a great family to be a part of.
Yeah, it makes us all proud of like the work that we do, like each other.
Each other, yeah.
Super excited for the stuff that Kanan has like going on for him, and the Marcus like he was talking about like, oh, this is my first like actual like job, and that's like credit to Eric for finding him, because he saw something that like he saw the potential. And he was right on the money, like literally right on the money. Because the moment people saw like Yara, like we didn't have a story for her, and then the shirt was like, yeah, let's make a shirt, and then let's make merch, and then
let's make a shirt in
people
12
want a
hours,
book.
Igor.
Yeah, in 12 hours. I mean, yeah,
Isn't it the most sold shirt that we had?
No, it's not. I'm sure it's not. But
It was for
like
that campaign.
It was. Yeah, but it was.
It was for that
one,
first campaign.
Yeah, but Kanan's shirt is probably up there.
But
Like
you know
the
what?
one that
I'm actually wearing it right now. I didn't know.
Oh, okay. Let's show that. Let's have
can't
one
show
in
it.
the camera. Oh, come on. All right.
You almost had me, but no.
No, it is, man. It is. I keep saying it's a renaissance, man. That's happening here. That's hasn't been seen probably since the early image days. The only reason, the only difference is that they had a heck of a lot of talent, but only a handful had business sense, which is why McFarlane
A lot of things
he is now.
went for
and others work for other people, which is fine. They chose that.
Yeah.
But they set the standard for really the model. I always look at everybody talked about Kobe Bryant versus Michael Jordan, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen videos where they did an overlay of how Kobe played and how Michael Jordan played. Literally the same. Same. Literally. I mean, like mirror images of each other. He was just probably more physical and bigger than Michael Jordan was. Kobe was taller, but it was literally the same thing. And so it's like if the plan isn't broken, man, use the same thing. And so it's like
if it ain't broke.
Yeah, exactly. Like look at what the Todd father has done. Rippaverse has done almost the exact same thing, and we're getting the results. And so it's like, if you want to gauge where a comic could possibly go, or a company could possibly go, look at McFarlane Toy. McFarlane, because that's the same model, because it works.
And then not only that, but the Rippassance.
Right? Yeah.
Because,
so
like,
it's amazing, man, just to see all these things manifest. And like you guys, like you said, Andrew, it doesn't even take long. It's like as soon as the idea drops, and all of a sudden it's like, and you guys are talking about merch. You go from nothing, to now we have an actual store. That's
like
crazy.
Jordan said, like you can wear like Rippaverse all day.
Yeah,
like, every day of the week.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's
Mhm.
all I wear.
something.
Eric's
Yeah.
pretty quick too about
And it's
like
pretty good
when
shirts too.
yeah. Well,
Like
when Eric
quality-wise.
is presented with an idea he really likes, like
Yeah.
he doesn't sit on it for long.
No.
Like
It goes right
he
out.
he might take a beat, and then that beat is him literally thinking, okay, where can I slot this in because I want to do this thing,
Yeah.
and then it just happens all of a sudden. Marcos is doing concepts. We're finding interior artists. We're
Yeah.
and colors and maneuvering all these different things. It's like, man, like this is real. This is
And
happening
then
right
and then
now.
it's actually tangible.
Yeah.
Like you can actually put it in your hand. Like it's like, dude, it went from concept to reality in such a short amount. For me, I've never really seen that before. So
No,
I worked with a lot
definitely.
of companies and stuff, but seeing it like literally whatever we think of is really the limit of our imagination, because somehow the capital comes in, somehow like all these things happen, man, and it's just like there it is. It's like, geez. So, man, like it's like you said, Igor, it's fun. It's actually fun to wake up, hit the board, the drawing desk and create, because man, like what can I think of today?
Yeah.
Kind of thing, man. And so
And Eric gives y'all like a lot of freedom
So
when
much.
it comes to like what
Oh my
to
gosh.
draw in terms of like
Yeah.
doing covers and things like that.
Which
Like
is
I'm sure
awesome.
like every now and then, the writers might present an idea where it's like, hey, I kind of got like this thing bouncing around in my head. What do you think? But then you guys just kind of get all this like creative liberty to work with. And that's
And
got
you
to be
see
so
all
rewarding as an
yeah,
artist.
but
Yes,
you
it
see,
is.
like we keep crediting Eric with like a lot of stuff, but that's because we see a lot of different like facets of Eric, let's say.
Mhm.
Yes.
In terms of like, yeah, we talk about a lot about the business quality of what he does, because that's a thing that he likes to talk about a lot.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna
Business.
talk like the business, but we're gonna talk about like the writer that he is. Like we're seeing this with like can I say, like we just believe this, but about Norfolk, like
Mhm.
we see a different Eric in that
Yeah.
regard,
Yeah.
because we see an editor, we see like a proper writer,
Yeah.
and he's actually like careful about like a lot of details
Yep.
that even us as artists sometimes we tend to miss.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he's very very
he's thinking about it. Like
yeah. And
he is
and if you
all in
think
on it.
and if you think that's the same guy that's thinking about like the release order of books,
Yeah.
and then like the printing side of things, all the business sides
Yes.
of everything that goes on, like the logistics and everything, like that's a lot, man. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
That
If we have a busy day, imagine him. Like,
exactly. I mean, that is, I'm sitting there thinking of, for whatever reason, I'm a wrestling fan, but Seth Rollins, he always says, I'm the visionary. I'm the, but Eric is like there is a reason why he has to be and chooses to be those different facets. Like you said, we got the business side of who, Eric July is, but he's creative, super creative, because he's a fan first of comics. And then two, like you said, each story, Isom is different than Norfolka. Norfolka is different than how Saoirse was written. Saoirse is different than his concepts on I know Chuck did it, but the concept of what Alpha Core and Yaira and all these other like Bloodruth, like sometimes, man, it's like you just hold the seed of it, and then you get people like the Sausage Sisters to actually make that thing come to fruition. But it has to start with a vision, an idea.
and it's still his universe. Like
Yeah.
when we're talking about like, oh, there is another writer writing something, it's not like Eric is not like seeing
Connected
that.
to it.
Like,
Exactly.
yeah. Oh, Eric's not working on that. No, he is probably
They
more
He's still
literally-
involved.
than he
Yeah.
would if he was
They
the
literally have writer meetings.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to make
exactly.
sure
Yeah,
that
yeah,
everything
correct.
stays within continuity and canon.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
people
And to make
don't
sure
see
that things
that.
are all the writers
Yeah.
are, on the same page, as it were.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice pun.
Because people don't see that, they think that like it's easy. It's easy to have a comic. Like, oh, you're gonna have a campaign. That's it. No,
Nah.
that's not even the service of that.
Right.
Of everything that goes on.
Yeah.
You would give me actual anxiety to have like to do half of
He
what
does.
Eric does. Just thinking about that, like
Yeah. Yep.
it was really impressive. Like that's something.
Man.
Absolutely. Well, that was a
I don't
fantastic
know how we
discussion,
ended
guys.
up doing this.
Oh, it was a fantastic discussion. That was a ton of fun. Thank you so much, all of you guys, Igor, Marcos, and Kanan. Let's quickly hit the super chat from
Yeah.
last month's show. So this comes from Mr. Toxicity. He has been a longtime fan, supporting a lot of what we do. He sends $5 and says, none of y'all are talking about how many women Neptune has sowed his oats with. Makes me wonder. NDA. That's the only response I can really properly have to that. But thank you for the $5 super
Very
chat.
good.
Who knows?
I'll just say he is a deity. So I mean, hey,
Yeah,
Yeah, we know
Yeah.
how those
You
are.
know, those work.
I mean,
Zeus, how many kids Zeus had?
oh gosh, yeah, he
Let's
had
turn into a swan.
right.
Hey, so,
He had more than a fair few. I'd
Yeah,
say.
a little bit.
In a couple, right? just one or two.
Or 2, 3, 4, 5,
But
6,
thank
7,
you, Mr. Toxicity, for the
Thanks a
$5 super
lot.
chat. We appreciate you guys. The super chats are never required, but whether you leave them in the live chat when we do the video premiere, or whether you drop them in the comments, because super comments are a thing now, we appreciate the heck out of you. You guys are
Absolutely.
awesome. Thank you for continuing to be great
And
with us
the-
and
the-
making us great.
Yeah, the chats for this are always fun. So fun.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun interaction in the chat for this episode as well. Quick community shout out, guys. I want to shout out the Thinkening, who showed up to MegaCon Orlando, got to hang out with him, and the Geek Stack podcast. Those guys are fantastic individuals. If you guys don't already, please follow them on YouTube. I actually did an interview with them on their podcast not too long ago, just a week or so ago. My voice was kind of like it is right now for a good portion of it, so forgive me for that. However, it was an absolute blast of a conversation. I think you guys would really enjoy it. I think there's some real good insight, and those guys had some fantastic questions that I think you'll enjoy the answers to. So please check out the Thinkening and the Geek Stack podcast, because those guys are awesome gentlemen. Housekeeping. Let's do some of that before we wrap up here. We have 3 currently active collections. We have The Great War of Separation, which ends this week. This is the final week for Great War of Separation. Make sure you guys get your pre-orders in. I cannot stress enough the importance of this event. This event sets up so much.
Yes, it is.
And there's going to be a lot that spins out of it. I'm not going to say any more than that. But this is an absolute hell of a ride. It is worth your while. Check it out. It's Chuck Dixon, man. Chuck Dixon told a banger of a story, as Chuck Dixon does. And it's a beautiful book. Jack Herbert killed it. He is so good. Jack is so good. I love seeing him turn in pages. So guys, check out Great War of Separation #1. It's the first part of this limited series event. Do it now, because the last week to pre-order. Get in on it. We also currently have Rippazzine #3 running, which, as we had mentioned already, introduces Dirty Deeds, written by our own Carol Brown, illustrated by Evan Scale. This is just like the most fun I've had with a sci-fi romp in a really long time. This is like Firefly meets Guardians of the Galaxy when they were good. When those books were good.
Berserk in there.
You got dude. There's just like there's this beautiful marriage of so many cool things into this new cool thing. And
Yep.
Kara did a fantastic job with the storytelling. Evan Scales' art is incredible. You guys are going to have a ton of fun with it. It's crisp. It's funny. This is a story you want to get in on. If you are a Rippaverse member, remember, you get a free copy of the standard edition of every single Rippazine that comes out. So do that, and then use that savings to get the collector's edition copy, because Kanan did both covers, and they are chef's kiss. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Which
And the thing
also
everybody,
warms our hearts.
yes,
because
yes,
the
it does.
Rippassance is like our love project. Like,
Oh, I freaking the Rippazine is so near and dear to my heart. And I talk about the
bug Derek
Rippazine
a lot.
actually on that podcast that I did, that interview. So again, check that out on the Thinking and Geek Stack podcast. And last but not least, campaign everybody had been waiting for.
Yes.
ISOM 3, the conclusion to the ill-advised arc is here. Guys, this is a hell of a book.
Yeah.
It is so good. This is Cliff's best work. Sebastian Chang, the new series colorist, does an incredible job bringing more life to that already great art from Cliff. Eric told a banger of a story. He wrote a kaiju of a book. The thing's over 140 pages. This is easily our biggest book to date. Like, this clears ISOM 2, which was already a big book, right? 112 pages. This one's even bigger. You guys don't want to miss this conclusion. This finale ties up a lot of loose ends, but it also presents a lot of questions and gets you excited for what comes next.
Yep.
And when you get to that ending, y'all are going to be begging Eric for part 4. That's all I'm going to say. Get in on all those active collections and campaigns right now. Guys, thank you so much for the support that you've shown us here on the podcast, through all of our different collections, whether you're, only following certain writers or certain characters, or whether you're a psychopath like Bruce and you get everything all the time, which we appreciate the hell out of every single one of you. You guys help make us great. We are great because of you, and we can't do this without you.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, final thoughts? Words of wisdom?
Best fans in the world, man. You guys are amazing. You are the reason why we even get up and create. And that's not even blowing smoke, man. Like, that's the connection of the fan base to the writers, artists, creators is just bar none. And it's only getting better. Thanks for riding with us to this point. Everybody's going to get something out of it as we go along. Like, you're going to find eventually have a character array. Already you have it, but even more to pick from. Your Superman-esques, your Wonder Womans and Batmans and Spider-Mans and all that stuff. And to the creatives and artists out there that are looking to just get in there, man, stay ready. Keep plugging away. Keep posting your stuff. Artists, can come a dime a dozen, man, but be that person that stands out, and don't get discouraged. Doesn't matter how long it takes. You have to have that mindset of, I'm gonna do this, and there's no plan B. Like, this is what I do. This is my trade. That's how I used to look at it. This is my trade. I'm not an accountant. I don't do that. I'm not a this, that, or the other. God gave me an ability to create and tell stories. So doggone it, show me how to do it, because I'm not working and doing something else. This is my trade. So, and he's provided, and I'm not trying to get super spiritual, but I believe, God, and I believe in the God, and I believe he provides ways. And I believe he put me in connection with Eric for this time, not just to fulfill a dream, but to meet so many amazing people in and outside of the company, meaning like fans, like you guys. Y'all ride with us, boy. Y'all hard. Some of y'all is like insane, and I love it, man. It keeps us ready. So that's all. That's my spiel.
Igor, final
man.
words of wisdom.
So, yeah, so mainly for like because this is an art stream, most of the people that like talk to us are gonna talk about art. We get some really good questions, like made me question myself as an artist sometimes. Like the even in the chat or like the DMs and that we get that are like super cool to think about, try to help other people.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like I'm ready to help someone sometimes, and yeah, it's really good to think like that we can have some impact, like positive impact into people. I love
Yeah.
talking to other artists, looking at art from the people, from other people, and yeah. So like I say, keep working. Think about what makes you really you and your art, like because in the end that what separates you from other people. Like you're not gonna have another you, and that should like be something that shows in your artwork. And if people are gonna wanna hire you, they're gonna hire like that best version of you, what you can do.
It's good.
So
Igor.
if you have like that one thing that you really like, that you really like doing, try to be good at it. And like yeah, that's for sure what people are gonna hire you for. Even if you don't like feel like that's something, oh, I could be more like this or more like that. Yeah, you could, but you could also be like a combination of a very good thing and something that someone else does that's pretty good, and then like that special thing that you make,
It's good.
that's the sauce for sure. Yeah, thanks for like listening to us rambling about a ton of different things.
No, you're
I always
providing
appreciate like
insight.
when people talk like, oh, I love that podcast. I'm like, man, the fact that you listen to this,
Right.
this is already insane for me. I didn't know that people wanted to hear what we had to say.
Well, they do.
Super
'cause you
fun
have a
for
lot
us.
of good things to say.
Yeah, super fun.
Thank you, brother. Marcos.
Just 2 hours of us talking in their day. Yeah, on the same line about the artists though, I was thinking about we have a lot of fans that just like to show their support and how they're growing as artists. And I was thinking to myself, if any of you out there ever like is looking to be like hired and stuff for any of the companies similar to ours or whatnot regarding to art, don't be afraid to if you think you're not good enough, just don't be afraid to just try
Yeah.
and show everything you can do. Because for instance, with me, when Eric hired me, or when I emailed him basically, because that's how it all started, I sent him like I never thought that I'm like that great or anything with art, but I sent him everything that I could, like pieces of basically you could say portfolio, pieces of horror stuff, monsters, heroes, anatomy, and I thought most of the stuff was really just average for me, and he ended up liking everything, and everything ended up being used. I do literally everything in terms of genres for the concept
Yeah.
art. I do horror. I do the characters, the heroes. I didn't even notice that what I thought at first I wasn't really good at, just throwing everything out there. Everything itself ended up being used for something. Just never don't be afraid to put yourself out there, your art, your styles. Something's always gonna hit and click, rather is the word. And even if not, it's good to improve regardless if you're good or not. If you think you're good or not. There's always gonna be improvement as well. So yeah.
1000%.
Oh, also, by the way, forgot to mention, we were talking about Valentine and the whole theme of the podcast. I hope everybody had a blast this year, this month of love, because you know how the world right now is really full of love, or to be true love. To be, let's just say that. A lot of chaos going around.
Okay.
Marcos getting all sappy on us.
Wow.
Thank you, amigo.
Man, it's how it is.
Appreciate you. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us once again. As always, check out all of our currently active collections and campaigns. Those will be in the description down below. Make sure you hit like. Make sure you share this episode out. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe and check out the videos of the community channels that we just shouted out a moment ago. And make sure, if you're not already, head over to rippaverse.com/members and become a member. As little as $5. Get a ton of perks, including, I think, all of our favorites, which is free standard copy of the latest Rippazzine issue. So check that out. Dirty Deeds is the newest one. You guys are all awesome. We will see you all next time. But until then, God bless and Godspeed.
Peace.
Peace.